everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Putting evil in context. That's the focus of tonight's angle. More fallout from the Hill testimony yesterday from college presidents who have equivocated on the noxious anti-Semitic atmosphere on their campuses. Some of the most revealing and disturbing exchanges are just now being seen by Americans.
Specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
It's a context-dependent decision. That's your testimony today. Calling for the genocide of Jews is depending upon the context.
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Well, surely the esteemed Harvard University president had a much clearer response.
At Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment, yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign.
Now imagine if an LGBTQ student coalition felt harassed or maybe targeted by some type of right-wing mob on the Harvard campus, and they were even forced to flee into classrooms to hide. Would President Gay need context to call them in violation of the school's code of conduct? Well, we know the answer to that. She's since tried to clarify her remarks, writing in part, calls for violence or genocide against the Jewish community or any religious or ethnic group are vile and have no place at Harvard, and those who threaten our Jewish students will be held to account. Well, obviously, the grown-ups at Harvard had to tell her that she screwed up royally. It's a humiliating moment for what's supposed to be the premier university in the United States. Well, the MIT president, Sally Kornbluth, was maybe the best of the bunch, but that's not saying much.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
So those would not be according to the MIT's code of conduct or rules?
That would be investigated as harassment if pervasive and severe.
If pervasive and severe? Now, if they're saying destroy the Jewish people, was what, long live the Intifada means, even just a few times, how is that not severe? Now, if only conservative students and speakers on campus receive the same benefit of the doubt that she's giving the pro-Hamas protesters, again, we know the answer, and we will never forget what happened when former Trump officials were invited to speak to students.
I said no ICE, no KKK, no fascist USA. Go home, homie. Go home, homie. Go home, homie.
You canceled an event with former ICE Director Tom Homan due to disruptive student protest simply because he worked for former President Donald Trump. Why did Penn let Professor Ahmad Amala off the hook, who led hundreds of students in chanting, "There's only one solution, Intifada revolution"?
Our approach to speech is, as I identified, it follows and is guided by the United States Constitution, which allows for robust perspectives. I disagree with the characterization that we treat speech differently.
A vocal critic of how these schools have handled the pro-Hamas activism on campus, Bill Ackman, summed up his reaction to the testimony by wondering why these presidents still have their jobs. Writing, the president's answers reflect the profound educational, moral, and ethical failures that pervade certain of our elite educational institutions, due in large part to their failed leadership. They must all resign in disgrace. If a CEO of one of our companies gave a similar answer, he or she would be toast within the hour. Of course, that's absolutely correct. Were any of these women, by the way, really the most qualified individuals in America to run their respective institutions? Doubtful. But we all know that they checked enough boxes to leapfrog everyone else who was in the running for these positions. That's how you play the game at these universities. Don't rock the boat, and certainly always give left-wing students and faculty members the benefit of the doubt in campus controversies. The utter disdain that these college presidents demonstrated yesterday mirrored how they treat their alumni as well, many of who do not really approve of the way things are unfolding on campus. When they're trying to grow the endowments, of course, these universities, they know how to put on a show of respectability, and they showcase an aura of excellence on campus. You see the monthly mailings and alumni magazines. They're the way most experience campus life after they graduate. It looks all slick and wonderful. Nostalgia kicks in, and then they take out their checkbooks. Is there any sense at all, after all of this, that these universities are really waking up? I'm not sure. Unless you think that UPenn's new initiative is a way to combat anti-Semitism on campus. Announced yesterday, it's called Conversations for Community and Dinners Across Differences. Someone actually was paid to do this, by the way, come up with this idea. It's going to offer meals free of charge for Penn community members, allowing them to discuss issues of interest to bring people together. Free food. Oh, that'll help keep quiet the long live the Intifada chants, I'm sure. Now, clearly, these university presidents, like the White House itself, they're walking on eggshells, afraid to offend its pro-Hamas constituents. They may be a minority, these pro-Hamas people in the Democrat Party, but they're loud and they're very tech-savvy. And Biden needs their energy in 2024, that's for sure. But today we learned that the anti-Israel revolt isn't just happening in the Ivy Leagues. It's actually happening in the White House itself. Dozens and dozens of White House staffers, interns, signed a letter demanding a permanent ceasefire and accused Israel of an ongoing genocide against the Palestinian people. Now, at bottom, they're also accusing the Biden team, for whom they work, of aiding and abetting this genocide by not demanding an immediate end to Israeli military operations. National Review had a great piece on this. They urged Biden to fire the insurrectionist interns. Well, fat chance. Never going to happen. But think of the tuition bills that the parents of these interns paid to produce this warped thinking. It's a lot of money. Look, it's time for all of us, conservatives, liberals, independents, to band together and use all legal challenges possible to take back these institutions from the incompetent administrators and the woke radical fringe holding them all hostage. And that's The Angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.